Rama Rama Ram, Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama Rama Ram. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki
Jai.
Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanam. With deep gratitude, we shall offer our namas and the day's actions, everything at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. And before we offer further prayers at his feet for the prevailing situation, we shall see once again what Bhagwan was saying in those days, in the early 80s, the very late 70s and the early 80s at Sannadi Street House, when many people from Tapovanam, Tirukkovilur, used to come to him. Not to mention the people from Chennai, Madurai and far south. Now Bhagwan started to speak. It was only by way of conversation that he was doing. He was not giving any lecture or anything as it were. So let's go to Sannadi Street House and join others and sit quietly with all ears. Let's listen to him with rapt attention. What was he saying? He said, a few days before that, there was this Atirudra Yajna, the sacrifice, was being conducted at the behest of Sri Paramacharya, Kanchi Paramacharya. It was all done very well. At the behest of Sri Paramacharya, Kanchi Paramacharya. It was all done very well with appropriate things that were required and the right number of Brahmins. After seeing all, they had to, in the course of the sacrifice, they would chant Veda Mantras and then offer many things into the fire. The idea behind it is the Devata, the deity of fire, would come up in a subtle form which nobody could see. We all have physical eyes, none of us have the divine eye, the subtle eye. But still, when we offer it with Veda Mantras, the deity of the fire would come up in a subtle form and take all those things and distribute to the appropriate, the respective devatas, the deities. This world made up of 5 elements: the fire, the land, the sky, water, fire, water, those 5 elements, they combine in different ways to make this world what it is, filled with all things in right proportion, each one. Now the deities would be propitiated by that. This is very important according to the Vedas. It's only when the deities are propitiated, the devas as we call them, we would get the seasons, the right time. There would be rain. And only if there is rain, we can cultivate the lands and produce food, the grains. So Swami was explaining that some atheists were arguing, why would they waste all those precious things, throw them into the fire, which would be of no use to anybody. Instead, they could spend all that money in feeding the poor. Bhagwan said, that is not right. It's not proper. It's not right to say that. What do they know about it? Whatever we offer into the fire with the Veda Mantras would be received appropriately by those respective deities of the 5 elements. It would be well distributed to the devatas, and they in turn would be propitiated. They would be happy and bestow their grace upon this world, upon people. And then he went on to add that Paramacharya, how Paramacharya answered the questions of the atheists who said, instead of wasting all this material, throwing them into the fire, you could use it to feed the poor. Paramacharya said, when you prepare the land for the crops, you prepare the land very well, you have to dig it well, and then put the right fertilizers and get the soil ready, and then you start to plant the seeds. In huge lands, the seeds are being sprinkled everywhere for the crops to come. Then Paramacharya said, do you think that this, using the seeds for cultivation, is a waste? Will you say that these seeds, the seed planting, is a waste? That we could use those seeds for cooking and feeding the poor? We all know these seeds would come out, they would sprout, and the crops would come, and at the appropriate time, the harvesting would be done. So in anticipation of the harvest, a good harvest, the seeds are all planted in the field, the cultivated land. So we could never say the seeds are being wasted. And what is more, the crops would grow to the full, and they in turn would give more seeds, and those seeds would multiply the crops. So Bhagwan was all appreciation for the reply from Paramacharya to this question of the atheists. And then Bhagwan went on to say, that all these rituals adopted in a sacrifice or in the pujas, in the worship of the deities, the shastras, the scriptures, whatever they say, must be followed with the Veda Mantras, and they would benefit the whole of mankind. And then he said it's also equally important that we feed the poor, the beggars, the sadhus and sanyasis. All this is based upon faith and experience. You have to experience the benefit from the deities to know what is happening. And before that, you have to have faith even to do the sacrifice. So the whole thing is based upon faith and experience, faith in the scriptures, faith in the Veda Mantras. You cannot do any clinical analysis on the basis of science. In fact, he went over to Bangalore, Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar went over to Bangalore once to meet Sir C.V. Raman. Bhagwan put many questions to Sir C.V. Raman, who replied promptly, and he admitted that behind all the processes of nature, there is an enormous power. You can call it the divine, the power that could not be grasped by the methods of science. But it's very, very obvious that there's an intelligent power behind all the processes of nature. Einstein admitted, Sir C.V. Raman admitted. C.V. Raman said, you can call it by any name. You can call it God, you can call it Prakriti, you can call it nature. But the science is not able to grasp it because it's beyond our understanding. So Bhagwan said, nobody can say there is no God. He is expressed, the Creator is seen in all of creation. In fact, the creation reminds one of the Creator behind, the beauty, the wonder of all that is happening in the world, in nature, cries out loudly the presence of the divine behind it. And then Bhagwan said, so it's very important to develop this faith. At the appropriate time in life, a divine man would come and let us know by experience, by some sadhana, who we are and what the purpose of our life is. And then he would take us slowly, gradually, to the highest experience, the experience of the highest truth. So he said, Guru Bhakti, devotion to the Guru, is very important. And the faith in the Guru, faith in the God is also very important, that one should develop this. And he said, if you do not have this faith in the Guru, if you do not have devotion to the Guru, they are the greatest wealth of man, then it's no use possessing so much wealth in life. No other wealth is worth the name. If you do not have Guru's blessings, your life is a waste, no matter how much wealth you possess. If you have faith and the blessing of the Guru, it does not matter if you do not possess any wealth, any physical wealth. Your Guru's grace is more than sufficient. Your faith in the Guru will get you everything in life. So Bhagwan went on to say further, in whatever field you work. You might be working in the government, you may be working in factories, you may be a politician, you may be working in sugar factories, paper factories, cement factories, or electromagnetic institutions, or IT, information technology, tourism, or the field of medicine, or cinema industry, wherever you work, in whichever field you work, you must take up two things in life, two aims, two purposes you have to serve. One is just see that whatever you do, it helps the sustenance of Vedas and Veda Mantras. Vedas should be protected, Veda Mantras, and Vedic Pandits should be well protected. The second is feed the poor, feed the beggars, feed the sadhus and sanyasis. These are two important things in life, no matter in what position you are, in what field you are working. Whatever you do, you must see that it helps the sustenance of Vedas and Vedic Pandits. And you must be able to feed at least some poor people, some beggars, some sadhus and sannyasis. In this regard, Bhagwan told me once, why would not people help the beggars? By throwing one meal to a beggar, the beggar is not going to become a millionaire, nor would you lose your wealth. And if you feed 100 beggars, there might be one Mahatma, one great soul in that. You would never know. And when he said it, he had tears in his eyes. Those people have become beggars because they have no money. They have no job. They have become beggars helplessly. So he always advised people to feed the beggars if they could. He considered it as a very important dharma. He said, India is a land where great souls come in the form of beggars only. So beggary should not be abolished in India. After this talk, the focus got shifted. Bhagwan pulled out a cigarette and lighted it, and then laughed. He said, look, this beggar talks all these things, but you see what he is doing? He is smoking. This beggar has no control over his mind. You people may have control over your mind, but this beggar is very bad, very mad, very crazy. He has no control over his own mind. And then again laughed and said, but Father, my Father has complete control over the mind of this beggar. This beggar, every look, every word he utters, every gesture he makes, every step he takes, Father's work is getting done. It is my Father, my Divine Father, who is activating this beggar. There is nobody in this body except my Father. There is nothing else, no one else, only my Father. My Father alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. Many of the devotees know that before Yogi Ramsuratkumar became Bhagwan, became one with God, if anybody smoked in the same room, he would vomit. He would run away from the place. In fact, for years, he would not take even cooked food. Only raw vegetables, fruits, and raw milk. were his food for many years, because he said he wanted to divinize his body also. Now, the same Yogi Ramsuratkumar, after Father commissioned him with the cosmic work, he said the vibrations of people were very dense. He was unable to be with them. He had to work for them. He had to be with them. But then the vibrations were too dense. He was unable to do his Father's work. When he complained, the divine said, take to smoking, you would be able to be with people and you would be able to work for me. And that's how Bhagwan started smoking. No matter how he derides himself, we all know him to be Bhagwan. The very mention of his name gets things done for us. Now to such a one we shall offer our prayers today. Bhagwan, we all know there is nothing that you do not know, there is nothing that you cannot do. We seek